Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're having a great week so far, and welcome to this new video right here on Ethereum. We're going to do a full update right here. Technically, we'll talk about some fundamentals as well, but then more so fundamentals regarding the general financial markets and the general crypto markets, because fundamentally about Ethereum, I don't think there's much to say that's relevant. Obviously, or at least something I have told you about quite often, is that there still was a major Ethereum queue, which creates, or at least which means that there's quite a lot of selling pressure. This has kind of, as you can see, more and more Ethereum is wanting to enter the validator queue. So that's a good thing, but we also had a spike in the amount of Ethereum that wants to exit again. It's a bit, this is not bearish, but it's also not bullish either. So that's why I kind of didn't want to talk about it, but okay. And generally, what I think is more interesting before we talk about what I think is most likely right here for Ethereum, which I'm quite certain about, or at least I'm quite certain about what I personally expect. Whether that's correct, we will find out. But the thing is, and I've said that in my XRP video as well, the most relevant statistic right now for Ethereum is ETH BTC. Right, it's the relative performance of Ethereum against Bitcoin. And I must say, basically since last week, Bitcoin has really taken on a prominent role in the markets again. Whereas when you take a look at the price action, especially in July, for example, the price action for Bitcoin for a majority of the time actually did not matter that much. During certain moments, it always does matter because Bitcoin is still the main cryptocurrency. But ultimately, it didn't matter that much. And right now, Bitcoin does matter. Bitcoin matters a lot for altcoins, as you can see right here. Everything is very correlated to whatever Bitcoin does on the lower time frames. But therefore, and especially given the fact that ETH BTC has not been able to regain momentum after it lost momentum the 25th of August, it also means that Bitcoin's price action is very relevant for Ethereum. And right now, Ethereum is underperforming Bitcoin. And I would argue, and we have to talk about this a little bit. I don't like to do that because obviously this is an Ethereum video, and I don't want to talk too much about Bitcoin. But I would say, talking about the general financial market fundamentals, so equities, stocks, volatility index, I would say that looks good for the markets. But Thursday and Friday is never a really good day for Bitcoin. There's some weak price action in here, and there's some more indications that we will remain relatively stable for Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin remains relatively stable and ETH BTC is slightly bearish, which I would argue it is at this point of time, and you can see that very much on the 4-hour time frame, then that's bearish for Ethereum. And then if we take a look at Ethereum specifically here, which is why you watch this video, you can also see that we found decent support yesterday at this fair value gap. We knew that was going to happen, or at least yesterday morning we had already hit that. My apologies. But I already told you yesterday that the key level then is right here between 4,560 and 4,600. We're most likely going to tap that, which we did, but it's unlikely we'll break above that. It's unlikely we'll break above that if there's no specific momentum for Ethereum, which there wasn't, and we never got that throughout the day. So that's why we reject it, and that's why we're making lower lows right here. Now, there's two specific levels that I'm looking at with Ethereum. It's first of all right here at 4,370, so 4,370. And then the second one is right here, which we've spoken about more often, between 4,300 and 4,200, where we have a high liquidity zone and a fair value gap. I think the entire area between those two levels, so that's a pretty wide margin, but I do think that area is going to hold. I think technically it's strong enough, and then the fundamentals about the entire market actually matter more and more, right? So I think that entire area is going to hold. I would say short term, unless we get a very strong reaction at 4,360, something like this, I would say short term it's more likely, given the way that Bitcoin looks right now and given the general strength of the markets, I would say we'll find support there, but I think it's more likely we'll drop down into 4,300 and maybe into that fair value gap before we can actually expect Ethereum to rally again. But those are my thoughts right now. Like I said, I would be mindful about the possibility of getting a strong reaction at 4,360. If we get that, then the further move down is invalidated. We'll remain stable right here, and then from that stability, we'll rally a little bit later, potentially next week. But I'll keep you updated on that. That is at least what I think you need to know for now. So hopefully that helps. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.